Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls from Lima Shenanigans of 1977, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for the NXT Event Center Wrestling Report. And now here's the man that will bring you all the wrestling happenings from the WWE Superstars of tomorrow, Eric M. Lima. Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans in 1977. Episode 2357, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're having some fun here today. We already had some fun. It is July. July has begun. I'm really excited. And like I said, we got, and you got the Independence Day weekend, July 4th weekend coming up. You got the Whalen City Festival next weekend. We got episode 300 of Rant and Rave. Everything is happening in July. Let me tell you, lots of stuff happening, lots of excitement. I hope y'all are going to be tuning in. But my show goes on as usual. Normal run-of-the-mill show. NXT just happened, and they're shaping up matches for not only Evolution but the Great American Bash, because that's happening a week from this coming Saturday. As you know, Great American Bash, Saturday night's main event, and you get Evolution on Sunday. That's all good in the hood, let me tell you. And next week's matches have already been set, and I will explain to you what will be those matches. And Trick Williams kicks off NXT and joins on commentary as, say his name, and he appears, I believe, in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry has shown up to face Wes Lee, 1/3 of the High Rise, and Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont try to get involved during this great matchup, but Mike Santana says, I ain't gonna let it go down like that. He knocked out both DuPont and Igwe, distracting Wes Lee. Joe Hendry took advantage, standing ovation chokeslam. 1, 2, 3. Joe Hendry wins the match. And then from last week, Soruka and Zarya confront Tatum Paxley of what happened, and they about had enough. And then Izzy Dane goes, Izzy Dane talked to Tatum Paxley, interrupting them, said, "Hey, they're not really your friends and do this." And you know what? And she's right. And so, and Zarya goes, "If she wants to be like that, I'll just let her be like that. I don't care." Even Soruka's trying to be on the shadow of a doubt. But after losing Shotzi Blackheart and Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley snapped. She's had enough. She has totally had enough. So she decided to line herself with Izzy Dame, and so there was a women's tag team matchup. Luca Crucifino called out Tony D'Angelo and basically said, "I was loyal to you in everything I did," and Tony Crucifino. So the consigliere has had enough, and then Stacks interrupts both men and said, "Hey, that's a great stop story and all that." But then Luca Crucifino, fed up with everything, he punches Tony D'Angelo. First I thought he actually is going to join up with Stacks. Then he punches Stacks and he grabs the microphone and said, "My loyalty is with Luca Crucifino." Drops the mic. Now I wonder how Adriana Rizzo is seeing all this. She's got to be seeing this situation somewhere. And I want to know what her take is in all this. And believe me, and believe me when I say this, that Adriana Rizzo has got to be not very happy. She's got to be infuriated about how the situation has gone on now. I mean, you got 3 members of the D'Angelo family not liking each other at the moment. Stacks is the Heritage Cup champion. So this is going to be an interesting situation, to say the least. Adriana Rizzo could be the last piece of the puzzle that could put everything together and possibly get the D'Angelo family back on track. Then you got Kelly Kincaid interviewed Obafemi as a huge number 1 contenders match tonight. Obafemi addresses that. He says, if those two have what it takes, they can take me on a Great American Bash. Yoshiki Inamura, hanging out with Josh Briggs, says, "I will be there. I will see you at the Great American Bash. Because you're confident, show me that you do." And that's what's going to happen. In attendance, George Gobb Jr. and Tyreek Sapp from the Florida Gators. Florida Gators. Sorry, Bill. Let's try that again. In attendance from the University of the Florida Gators, players George Gobb Jr. and Tyreek Sapp, as they been great fast friends with Miles Bourne. I was saying Miles Monroe. Whoa, I am off today. Miles Bourne went one-on-one with Lexus King, and Miles Bourne ended up winning that matchup. Huge victory over the seasoned second-generation wrestler. And then Dark State addresses their next move. It seems like they're playing mind games all around. But here's the question. Will a woman join up with Dark State? Who, if so, who would that woman be? Could Adriana Rizzo could be that person? We don't know, because the fact of the matter is, Adriana Rizzo in real life is dating Cutler James, a member of Dark State. And those members, some of the members of Dark State were part of the LFG, and Cutler James was part of LFG, replacing BJ Ray, which he's back for the second season and on Team Bubba. Bubba, God would be with you on that. Meanwhile, Thea Hale went one-on-one with Lainey Reed, and Lainey Reed ended up picking up the victory in a battle of fast rising stars. Thea Hale, I think she has not been the same since Chase U was closed down the first time around. Does she need Andre Chase? Is she going to go back? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is this. Thea Hale needs to figure everything out. Evolution's right around the corner. And if she wants to be part of that card, she's going to have to make big strides to be part of that. Meanwhile, No Quarter Catch Crew talked about Tavian Heights' loss to Javon Evans. And then all of a sudden, Tavian Heights about fed up with Charlie Dempsey. Hey, how about this? Do the same thing for you did for Miles. I challenge you to a match. If I win, I lead No Quarter Catch Crew. And Charlie Dempsey says you're on. And that match will be happening next week. Meanwhile, Jasper Troy addresses the NXT Championship at Obafemi Yoshiki Inamura, claiming that he is the one that should be taking the title. Well, we shall see about that. Meanwhile, women's tag team action. Zarya and Zoruka, I call them the Wave of Destruction. I mean, thinking that Zoruka likes surfing waves, and Zarya likes destroying people. So, but Zoruka, I'm tired of these combination name things. It's so lame. You know what I mean? What happened to like catchy team names instead of Zoruka? You know, but no. With all due respect for both ladies, I like Zarya more than I do Zoruka. But the fact of the matter is, with this whole combination name thing, it's just, it's just dumb. Against Izzy Damon, Tatum Paxley, and thanks to a misfiring, Tatum Paxley moved Izzy Damon out of the way, and the misfiring actually spear tackled. Zarya accidentally spear tackled Zoruka, cost him the matchup as Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley ended up picking up the victory. And then Abel was talking to Ricky Saints, who was still not in a very good mood after what Ethan Page is telling him, and Ethan Page is running his mouth, and he's got the Vanity Project, aka the Peanut Gallery, or as I like to call them, the Three Stooges, Mo, Larry, and Curly. And although Brad Baylor's got the hair like Mo, he should be Mo. Ricky Smokes should be Larry. I don't know. Ethan Page should be Curly. I don't know. And Jackson Drake should be Shemp. Anyways, and then she goes, "I'm not gonna. I would be civil, but I'll keep it simple. I want my rematch for that title." And then Ethan Page's like, "Oh well, you have to do this." Run his mouth, and then Ethan Page had the idea: if you run the gauntlet and if you beat the Vanity Project in the gauntlet match, you get your title shot. And then Ricky Saints goes, "I have an idea. If I do run this gauntlet and win, not only I'll get my rematch, I get my stipulation for the rematch." And then Abe's like, "That's a great idea. Let's go with it." And Ethan Page's like, "No. Shut up, Ethan Page." By the way, Ethan Page is going to make an appearance in Kojo's Toy World here in New Bedford. Maybe I should stop by and say, "Hey, you're going to lose that title." I don't know. That's what I say. Anyways, so Andre Chase apologized to Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors. They accepted the apology. Said, I got you a match next week, and Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors, and they were pretty excited about it. So we'll see what happens there. Kelly Kincaid interviews Joe Hendry and Mike Santana, and they were talking about that one of us, because Slammiversary is a triple threat match. Trick Williams to defend the title against the two of them. But he said next week they'll be in a tag match against the High Rise. So that match is happening. And she said just one of us will walk out. And they were hoping that one of us walks out with the TNA title. And they said to each other, hey, we can't let Trick Williams hold that title. We need to get that title back to TNA. And that was the ultimate goal. They had a common goal. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, the Culling talks to Tana Paxley, telling her how great a job that she did. And Ava says, since you pinned Sol Ruca at the Great American Bash, you're getting a title shot against Sol Ruca. And they were very happy for her and even Tana Paxley. And she goes, about darn time. And then Hank and Tank, thinking that the Culling was the one that attacked them, and they were confronting them, and he's screaming at them. And then Tana Paxley screams, hey, how about this next week? You put the titles on the line against them. That's a good idea and all that. So that tag team title match will be next week. Hank and Tank versus the Culling for the tag team titles. And then the number one contenders matchup. It's like a Big E special. Big meaty men slap me Yoshiki Inamura against the season 1 LFG winner. On the men's side, Jasper Troy. And in a huge... And we all thought that Jasper Troy was going to win. These two men would have, but in the end... Yoshiki Inamura at the Great American Bash will receive a title shot by virtue of the victory over Jasper Troy. But Javon Evans came from behind while Oba Femi and Yoshiki Inamura confront each other over the NXT title. Javon Evans sneaks in the ring, gives him a cutter off the top rope. And Jasper Troy is sending a message. Jasper Troy, you shouldn't have attacked Javon Evans after the matchup last week, son. Now you got yours. Javon Evans, that boy, bouncy. And then Jordan Grace comes out to address her number one contendership. And she says she has to be something that she never thought she'd be before, is vulnerable. And she says that, well, mostly all of us knew her story. And yes, she has come a long way. You know, she was known as thick Mama Pompano. She's a little thick, and now she's gotten a little muscular. And she toned down a bit on the muscle, and she looks, well toned to the point where she says she's ready to take the women's division, and she's ready to become the NXT Women's Champion. Of course, Fatal Influence has to interrupt her, and she's like, "You're not gonna." And JC Jane's like, "You're not gonna win all these idiots." Running her mouth, running down Jordan Grace, and Jordan Grace about had enough, tells them to shut up, and then Jordan Grace started talking again about taking the NXT Women's title away from Jordan Grace. JC Jane threw the first punch, and both ladies went at it, and Fallon Henley and JC Jane jumped her, while Jasmine Nick stayed on the outside. And here comes Blake Monroe to the rescue. Blake Monroe fights off Fatal Influence, wanting revenge of what happened to her last week, a couple weeks ago, going through a table. So Ava comes out. It says, hey, I have an idea. I'm always 2 steps ahead of you. How about this? At the Great American Bash, it'll be Fatal Influence's JC Jane and Fallon Henley to take on the team of Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe. People love the dream matches. Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace loved it. And that is, yes. So the shaping for Great American Bash and Evolution about to begin. Question is, though, who is going to be the NXT team to challenge Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez for the belts? Remember, both ladies came from NXT. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. A lot of people want to see the Inspiration, aka the Iconics, in this matchup. The Bella Twins in this matchup. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. And I hope they extend the invitation to AAA girls and the TNA Knockouts as well, because that'll be an Evolution card never to forget. if they decide to do that, and that's a big thing. We'll see how they go about it, because there's a lot of things that can happen in a short amount of time. There's rumors going around that Private Party and Danhausen has been looked at by the WWE because they seem interested in all three. If they end up signing with the company, it will be something to behold. So what is Dark State's next move? Were they the ones to actually attack Hank and Tank? And they, they dressed Hank and Tank before. Maybe, and they have not shown up. They said, well, we know it. Maybe the Great American Bash they'll show up. Who knows for sure? Will next week they show up? I don't know. Okay, so all we know is this. We got a lot of matches covered. We got the Tavion Heights versus Charlie Dempsey. Tavion wins next week. He can lead the No Quarter Catch crew. Then you got the Gauntlet match, the Vanity Project Gauntlet match. Ricky Saints versus Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, a.k.a. Swipe Right, and the Evolve champion, Jackson Drake. You also got two high-profile tag team matches. One, it's like a battle of brands. It will be TNA's Joe Hendry and Mike Santana joining up forces against the High Rises, Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont. And then you got the tag team titles on the line, Hank and Tank versus the Culling. And that's going to be a heck of a matchup as well. We'll see what happens. Has Tatum Paxley found a group that she actually can fit in? We'll find out for sure. And believe me, after losing Shotzi and Gigi due to release, I think Tatum Paxley is going to do whatever it takes to make some friends, even citing those that she may not be comfortable with. So we'll see what happens. The Red Sox game is suspended against the Reds. They'll pick it up tomorrow afternoon in the fourth inning. So do a little celebration of 1975. Hopefully that continues on. So we'll see what happens there. Let me see what else. All right, so tomorrow also we'll be halfway through the week as well. Joker's Wild. We're gonna play a little TJW, and the first Wild Wednesday of July 2025. That's gonna be interestingly fun there. Also, who knows what's gonna happen for the rest of the week, rest of the month? Who knows? A lot of things can happen and change between now and then. We're halfway through the year. We'll see what the next few months are going to bring. So, kind of looking forward to it. So, that is all the time that we have on this episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans 1977, episode 2357. Let's find out. And let's see, 2,357. Let's see if I can... Videos. Yep, 2,357 of the show. And we were hoping to... and I'm hoping, like I said, tomorrow, we got a lot... we got Wild Wednesday. We got Evolve. Speaking of Evolve, the Vanity Project. Yep. Vanity Project Gauntlet that will happen next week on NXT. We got Evolve, so we're gonna have a lot of stuff happening there. Also, let me think about it. Natalya told Stevie Turner she wants a shot at the Evolve Women's Championship. They should put that match on Evolution. Give Evolve some exposure. That's what I say. Also, we got AEW Dynamite, which a huge matchup, title match tomorrow night on Dynamite, as Mercedes Moné will defend the TBS title against the lovely and the gorgeous, curvaceous babe herself, Miss Mina Shirakawa. So I can't wait for that matchup. It's time that Mina Shirakawa gets some gold around that gorgeous waist of hers. Let me tell you. So, that is all the time we have on the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll see you on tomorrow's episode when I play a little Joker's Wild and try to beat that rotten devil by pulling the one-armed bandit. So, that's all there is to it. I will see you on tomorrow's episode. So, until that next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home. That is all for today's episode of the show. This is Mr. Announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E and Do It for Bob Saget production, and in association with A Raving Bull for 3000 Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. See you later on the next episode of the show. Goodbye for now.